Hi, and welcome to day 21 of Living Your Happier Life. Now, today's our fourth and final day of strengthening the pillar of the soul. And today we're going to look at how to trust life's unfolding, how to trust life. So, first of all, let me ask you, have you ever felt like it was totally up to you to make everything go smoothly everywhere all the time? I know I have been there, and it's exhausting. It's totally stressful. I call it trying to be the general manager of the universe. And, when we try to do that, man, that is a sure recipe for unhappiness because there is no way that our limited mind can do a better job than the higher power that's already running the show. But the thing is, we've got control issues. Some of us do, at least. And I've had many control issues because I thought that if I could control the circumstances in my life, then I could control what happened. But I couldn't. And, the harder I tried, the more it became clear that, living in this state of control was costing me. And it was no fun. So what we're going to do is talk today about how to live a different way, how to live in a sense of trust, how to live letting go of the fear that causes us to control, and instead moving into a sense of, you know what, it's going to be okay, the universe has got this. So one of the ways that I learned how to live in this state of trust, I learned at a very unusual place. It was in an improv class. Years ago, I took this class in improvisation, and one of the first things that they taught us was that we had to have what's called a yes mind, which was we had to just say yes to whatever was coming our way. And we just had to go with the flow rather than try to control everything. And it was really a great exercise in me learning to let go of control and be in the flow. I thought, if I could live this way, if I could live in this yes to life, life would feel so much better. So here's what happened in the improv class. I remember the very first day, one of the people in the class threw me this thing. I was supposed to be this 90-year-old rock star. And I thought, oh my God, my first thought is, no, I don't want to do that. And instead, I just said, okay, I'm a yes. And I started sort of gyrating around and strumming an air guitar and being like a 90-year-old rocker. And then I was thrown the next scene. I was supposed to be a teenager who was shoplifting, and I just had to go into that yes, and it was just a yes. And what it did is it taught me ways to just let go, to trust, to go with the flow, to relax, and to open up. It's kind of like being a trapeze artist. You've got to just trust. You let go of one trapeze and you trust and you go forward and the next one is there. And what happens is when we resist life, we kind of block the energy. But instead, when we say yes to what's happening in life, we kind of connect more deeply with the universe in a trusting way. And I'm going to tell you a story that's going to seem super weird, okay? So this is this is a really weird one, but it's a true story. And it really helped me see the universe has got something going on that I can't conjure up. The year was 1999, and I went to see a guy who was a Vedic astrologer. Now, Vedic astrology is the astrology of East India, and it's a science, and it's quite predictive with astonishing results. And I went to see him, and he told me all about my life, and he was really accurate. I hadn't told him anything except my birth information. And then he said, but I see that you're single, and you want to be married. You want to find your life partner. I said, oh, yes, I do. And he said, well, let me tell you, over the next 3 months, you're going to meet 3 men back to back, and they're all going to be foreign, and none of them is your partner. And I looked at him and I said, that's impossible. I never meet interesting men back to back. I go years between meeting interesting men. He said, no, it's going to happen. And then he said, and then in 6 months to a year from now, you're going to meet your life partner, and let me describe him to you. He said, he'll have dark hair. He'll be Mediterranean. He'll be born and raised in Italy. He'll love dance and music. He'll be working as a therapist with people, and he'll be 6 years younger than you. At which point I said, that's impossible. I never date younger men. And he looked at me and he said, I can't help it. It's your destiny. Well, I left there and I thought, okay, that was not going to happen. That was a waste. Well, the next week, I met the first of my 3 foreign men that I was dating. It's true, the next 3 months, I met 3 men back to back. None of them were my life partner. I didn't get involved with them because I sensed that. And 2 of them are still very dear friends of mine. And then I forgot about the reading. I thought, oh, that's weird. That really happened. And then I completely forgot about that astrology reading. 6 months later, I was at the Omega Institute. It's a big campus of personal growth programs in upstate New York. And I was attending a program. There were 600 people on this program. And it's a huge, huge area, acres of a campus. And they have a big gravel parking lot. And as I arrived, I drove into that gravel parking lot. And just as I was pulling into a parking space, there was a woman in the car next to me getting into the car to leave. Now, I had been to the Omega Institute one other time a year earlier, and I had become friends with one other person. And it was that woman who was getting in the car. And she got in the car. As she was getting in the car, I got out and I said, Kathleen, what are you doing here? It was great. We went over, we hugged each other, we started talking, and she said, you know, Marcy, I just got off of this course, and are you still single? Are you still interested in meeting a guy? And I said, yeah. She said, well, you know what? There was a guy on my course, and I think you might really like him. I said, well, great, great. She said, do you like big macho guys? And I said, yeah. She said, well, he's not that. I said, And then she said, do you like older men? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, he's not that either. I think he's younger than you. At which point I said, well, I don't really think I want to meet him. Just as I said, I don't think I want to meet him, she turned, and way over on the other side of the parking lot, he was walking by. She looked at him, and she looked at me, and she said, my God, there he is. And I turned and I looked at him, and I said, I couldn't even see his face. I could just see his energy. I said, I've got to meet him right away. So she took me over to the other side of the parking lot, and she introduced me to Sergio. She said, they had just come off of a dance program together. So the first thing she said to me is, Sergio, this is my friend Marcy. You've got to teach her the dance. And the very first thing that he did before he said hello to me, he took me in his arms and he danced me around that gravel parking lot. And I looked in his eyes and I knew that he was my life partner. Now, I had still forgotten completely about this reading. And we started a relationship. It was long distance, and it was challenging. It was actually a really challenging relationship. And about 3 months into the relationship, we decided to break up. And I remember the morning after we broke up, I woke up, and I remembered that reading. And I went back. I had written notes about it, and I went back, and I read my notes, and I couldn't believe it. I called him up, and I said, Sergio, you've got to hear this. This guy said that my life partner would have dark hair, would be Mediterranean, born and raised in Italy, love dance and music, be a therapist working with people, and be 6 years younger than me. Sergio, he just was silent on the other end of the phone, because that is Sergio. Every single piece of that is Sergio. And he said, okay, I guess it's our destiny. So I couldn't have planned that. There is no way on earth I could have planned to have shown up at that place, the Omega Institute, run into that friend of mine. There were 600 people at that event. How would I have run into Sergio? Who knows if I would have or not. And the fact that the astrologer told me that months earlier. There is something about this universe. And when we start to trust more of life's unfolding, when we trust the future, then we're able to be more in the present moment. We're able to experience a greater degree of happiness. I know I always feel drawn to people who trust in the moment. I can feel them because they're present. They're the people that are right there with you. And I've noticed that truly the happiest people are ones who are in that state of flow, in that state of trust, where they're in the moment and they trust in life's unfolding. So, Your homework is to see how you can trust in life more. And I'm going to end with a quote today. Oh, no, sorry, go back. I don't know if I want that or not. Hold on, right there. I don't think I want that. I am going to end with a quote. I think that's long enough. Okay, wait, as we close this section on the pillar of the soul.
10 minutes.
Good. And I wanted to do that because then I introduced Sergio, and I want this to be personal. Okay, go back as we end the pillar of the soul. Here we go. Okay. So as we close this section, which is on the pillar of the soul, remember that each of us plugs into spirit in our own unique way. And so just plug into spirit in your unique way. What works for you? And continue to listen to your inner voice and ask for signs and cultivate silence and trust in life's unfolding. And all of that is going to lead you to greater and greater happiness. So I'm going to end today with a quote that I love by the 19th century saint Sri Ramakrishna, who said, "The winds of grace are always blowing. You just have to raise the sail." So let's raise our sails and be in the flow of grace and be in that state of happy for no reason. So I send you love today, and I will see you tomorrow when we start talking about the roof, which is living an inspired life.